So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual chapter for the month of November 2025. We are so excited to be here with you today. I am your host, I'm half of your host. That makes me your
You're a
own,
whole
I
host.
suppose.
You're a holy host.
Yes, and that will come in handy for Christmas. You will need three of me, but that's next month. Ho ho ho! And I'm here with my lovely friend and cohort Karen Hand, who is the co-host. Say hi, Karen.
And you preface that with ho 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 because you went into that and then immediately talked about me. So why was that? Never mind. Thank you, Michael, for getting that and Duff for getting that. And that's why we want the camera left on because if what I say goes over somebody's head, I can see that somebody's getting my humor out there. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay. Uh, I just
What
realized
happened?
I just needed to make an adjustment on my PC. We're good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So how about so the announcements that I said we wanted to make were basically to let you all know if you are here live or if you are here watching replay or whatever it is that you can get CEUs for an hour and a half's worth of your time. It's always nice to be able to reclaim it. And through IACT and through IMDHA and most other friendly hypnosis organizations will also give you the same credit for the same time. So feel free to let your group know that you have been here, and uh, and that'll take care of that. And I should have said this before the recording because this won't make sense to people who are watching it virtual or as a replay. But this recording will be posted by tomorrow around about noon, hopefully a little bit earlier than that. And that's all I have to say about that.
Well, it is time for some announcements.
Yeah, yeah. So let's go month by month because I've got a whole bunch of things here, and I wonder. First of all, Karen, you have just had a major event in the city of Chicago, um, and I'd love to hear a little report if
The,
you've got
the
something.
Mid-America Hypnosis Conference,
Yeah.
Hypnosis World Mid-America. Yes, it was a major event. We had lots of people who turned out. It was full of energy and lots of people had lots of fun. And Richard Bandler was a keynote speaker along with Chase Hughes. They attracted an awful lot of attention. Um, and that's about all I have to say about that. I was a keynote speaker. It was a great time. I had a really good time being a keynote speaker. And I had a message that I'd like to share with you guys too, which is there is no competition in our business. Be you, be the best you that you can be, and the clients that are attracted to what it is you do will find you. And I'm not getting the same clients as a hypnotist up the street or anybody else. I'm not getting Duff's clients or Michael's clients, and they're not getting mine. So be you, be the best you that you can be, and we can all get along. And then when we know what other people do, you'll have somebody to refer to. So that was my talk about that and how important it is for continuing education and to find out what people do that may not be what you do, right? And that's one of the things we bring to the virtual chapter is stuff that we don't do or we may not do or somebody does it differently than Michael or I do it, but we want to bring a whole bunch of people to the forefront so that you can just get as much information as you can possibly get about all of that. So how's that, Michael? Is that a good
That's
recap?
excellent because it's my watchword. I've discovered that we're either we're all right about everything or everybody's full of shit. I don't know which is true, but it's nice
Oh,
to
it
be
could
able
be
to
true.
share with one another and to find out what works and what we can use. So how cool and how lovely to be here in this community. So we had a certified master trainer training this last month. That was lovely. So now IACT IMDHA has another bevy of about 7 or 8 new trainers, and we're happy about that. That's something, by the way, that doesn't come around again until June. But if anybody is interested in becoming a master trainer and certifying through IACT IMDHA, that would be the way to do that. That was one of the ways to do that. And you can always contact me or IACT IMDHA for more information. But anyway, we had that. Today is a very, very important day. Not only is it 11/11, which is just digitally brilliant, but on 11/11/11, my husband and I adopted our little baby puppy, who who is 16 years old today.
Oh,
And that's really good because as I'm starting to get a little more feeble, he's going to get the driver's license, and and then we'll all be in good shape. So
fine.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So anyway, yes, today is Merlin's birthday, but November 22nd and 23rd, so not this weekend coming, but the weekend after that, is the IACT IMDHA Certified Stress Management Consultant Training. So if you have an interest in becoming a stress management consultant and getting a credential that actually says so and has your name right in the middle of it, then you might be interested in that. And of course, that's also something that is run by yours truly online on those 2 days. And also, if you're not a member of IACT, because for so many of these things you have to be a member, if you're not a member of IACT or IMDHA and you take the stress management training, they will include at no additional charge 1 year professional membership. So you still get the benefits of the association and all that sort of stuff. And that's pretty cool. So
Cool.
that's November
Oh, wait,
26th.
wait, wait. Before we leave November, on
Yep.
the 16th, I'll be in the Elman Cafe for an hour and a half, starting at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Eastern time. I'll do about an hour and a half on many techniques that you can use to make the holidays happy, to keep the holidays happy, to get along with the family, and little mind games that you can play with yourself, and how to keep your mother out of your head, and how to keep peace with your brother-in-law, and things like that. So join me in the Elman Cafe and learn some ways to keep the happy in the holidays.
I love this, Karen, because you're proposing that in order to stay happy with your family on the holidays, that you got some mind games that they can do by themselves.
That's right. And you want to build up the fortress before you ever get into that situation. So
Stay home. Great. Well, lovely, lovely. That's gonna be wonderful. And the Elman Cafe always it's nice,
it
nice.
is. Yeah.
So great. Like glad to hear that. January 10th and 11th is the board certified hypnotherapy training. See, I've just got my whole calendar going on here. Also, IACT IMDHA program. It's 2 days. It is online. So if you're interested in that, that will be in January. Just you can start thinking about it now. February 21st and 22nd is something, but oh, I know what it is. It is the Galaxy of the Stars. And we haven't announced the people yet, but we're getting some really cool presenters for this next Galaxy. So as soon as we get that all nailed down, you will have all the information that you need about it. So there you go. Now we're all the way up to February. May, of course, is the Hypno Expo here in wonderful Orlando, Florida. And oh my God, and then June is Hypno Thoughts. I'm going back to Hypnothoughts. Oh my goodness, I've been
Yay.
away for the last 2 years and haven't been able to go, so I'm quite excited about making one or two more Hypnothoughts experiences. I think Karen and I we talked about this. I think I'm going to sort of stop doing so much of that
Yeah.
because I always thought that I was going to like work for a number of years and then so that I could make enough money to stop doing that. And I've discovered I'm actually interested in finding more time to do other things as well. So it looks like I may slow down on some of those. So there we go. That's everything I've got on the calendar for God for half a year.
In January, there's the ICBCH virtual conference. That's on the calendar, and I don't have the dates right in front of me, but I'll announce that again in December. And IACT, of course, in May, first weekend in May.
Hmm.
So,
All right.
yeah,
Okay. Well, I have got some stuff that I would love to share as a little
I know that you
feedback.
do. So please do.
Before we move on to our primary speaker, of course, today is Duff McDuffy, who I pointed out earlier is in the midst of the screen, and we'll get a chance to hear from him. And he's always got some lovely and exciting things to talk about. So I'm really looking forward to this, and so glad to see you, Duff. I wanted to, something that has occurred to me lately, and it's been a real issue for me. Um, Everybody we know seems to be angry. At everybody, it's like half of us are angry at the other half of us, and we live in this incredible tense day after day confrontations and stuff. And it really sort of struck home because my little high school that I talk about every once in a while, I mean, I grew up in a farming community with like 30, I graduated from high school with 30 people. And I sort of thought we were all the same. We all grew up out of the same corn stalks, and stuff. And oh my gosh, inside of the last few years, the 27 of those 30 people that were Facebook friends of mine until some of them started dying, the others started like twisting around in another direction that literally half of us are facing the other half. And almost every confrontation that I see on Facebook, you can't post something without somebody else deciding that they need to point out what kind of an idiot you are. So it's really disturbing to me, and I started thinking, what really is happening to us in terms of I've been entertaining this metaphor of algorithms quite a bit lately. I think it's sort of interesting how you click on a link and it determines everything that's going to happen for the next several hours if you're involved with social media and stuff. Well, so I thought we're all clicking on the wrong, life is full of clickbait, it's everywhere. And it's kind of an interesting idea to wonder when it is that we stopped thinking about things like inspiration, rather than hearing about what pisses everybody off and what it is that you hate and what it is that makes you angry. I posed a question today out on Facebook and I asked, what inspires you? And I'll tell you, the reason I was interested in this, first of all, inspiration is cool to me because, well, Walt Whitman is a friend of mine, and Whitman talks about our inspiration and respiration in a way that makes this sort of living, breathing process somehow sacred, somehow the stuff that inspires poetry. Fascinating to me. And I thought as I look around the world, rather than noticing um, all of the things that I find uncomfortable or that I dislike or that bother me, how do I start to train myself to see those things that are going to make a difference in my internal experience in a positive direction, in the way that I want to be? I want to be inspired. So so I thought I'd ask, and I had to preface it. It's so weird, I had to preface my ask with, you know, this isn't going to be about politics or any of that stuff. I want to know something about you. And so I asked, what inspires you? And the responses that I got mostly were, and appropriately, by the way, but there were things like nature, and the changes in the weather, and people commented on different things about where they were and how a beautiful sunrise that they'd seen, or these are the things that inspire them. Inspire is one of those magical words to me because it means to be breathed. Well, there's a couple ways to say it. It means to breathe in, but it's also thought about often as being breathed into. If you think of it as a sacred act, somehow or another, the breath of God breathed into you. And I was like, gosh, what is it? What is it that where we touch that kind of experience in our lives? And I noticed that in all of the descriptions the people offered me, nobody expressed being inspired. I shouldn't say nobody, there was one exception, but nobody expressed being inspired by something that they had seen some other human being do. As a matter of fact, there weren't any human beings involved in the descriptions of what inspired them. There was nature, there was all of that lovely stuff. And I was like, well, isn't it interesting? Because to me, the kinds of things that inspire me, and maybe something that sort of encouraged this topic with me was I saw this picture. Oh, how do I get to it? Oh, my calendar's in the way. I saw this picture of in France. They have these things that they call clothing forests. And in major cities, like in parks and things like that, they'll string a line up between a couple of trees or a couple of posts, and people will come along and hang jackets and coats and things like that. And I mean, and nicely laundered and put together. And I thought, look at this. This is compassion in action. This is humans being humans. And isn't this a wonderful, wonderful thing to be inspired by? I know for me, it's not just nature, of course. It's also things like, gosh, a good performer, a great performer can make me cry. particularly in music, right? And I'm sure Karen, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Sure. And anything done with artistry and elegance and all of that stuff. These are inspiring because they give us some hope that there is something in the world behind our humanness that allows brilliance to express itself. So, so I asked anyway, what inspires you? And I was thinking this is a great question to start with. But then I started thinking, well, later on is like, wait a minute, I asked the wrong question. What if I asked instead, who inspires you? And then I might have gotten more of the kinds of responses that I was hoping for. But then I realized, no, what I was going to get was a list of names. And by the way, and as soon as somebody put in somebody's name, I don't care who it is, Rocky Raccoon inspires me. Somebody else would say, "Oh yeah, Rocky Raccoon is an idiot," and we're right back, we're right back into that strange place that we can get into. But so I thought, well, what kind of people inspires you? What kind of inspires you? What kind of behavior between people is important to you? And I thought, gosh, uh, lovers walking hand in hand, and look, there's something there that says, oh my gosh, there's something wonderful behind that experience. Better off if you don't have any idea who they are, right? Because then you bring your baggage to your baggage into it. But or just people behaving compassionately, interacting with one another in ways that's meaningful, feeding people food. Of course, what else are you going to feed them? But but giving people food, those sort of things inspire me. And when I think about what inspires me, and I'm inviting you in the background. I maybe if I had more time, we could do something a little bit differently. But I'm inviting you in the background to think about what is it that you might see in the world or encounter in the world that would be inspiring to you, and notice what particular value you hold that is represented in that particular piece of behavior or the particular thing that you see in the world. What does it say about who you are that you are touched and inspired by that particular thing, whatever it is that you see or that comes to mind? And when you have a sense of what the value is, there's an interesting question that says you can be transformed through this inspirational thing if what you do is you make a commitment on some level to take that value with you forward into the world. How do I give this momentary glimpse of something reminded me of a value that's important to me? So the question is now, how am I going to make that operate in me and through me in the world as I go forward? And and you guys were hypnotists, right? So the name of the game here is when you get a sense of that, when you get a felt sense of that, and please find it in your body for goodness sake, because that's where you live. Um, then step forward to what will it mean for you to have that operating within you for the next until a week from now, 2 weeks from now, and further off into the future. How will it change your life to really give yourself permission to give expression to that value, which you may have been reminded of by the behavior of somebody else in the world, but that value which is actually your own to begin with? The opportunity to be more fully yourself becomes available through the expression of the values that you can uncover. So that's my tirade for the day. That's it's just really what I wanted to share. I'm looking forward to seeing where it's just because kind of had been an inspiration for me to process over the last couple of days, and I don't really know where it's going to go because I'm going to start asking some more questions. I'm going to go back out now, and I am going to ask who inspires you, and the other questions, and see what happens. So I'm looking forward to watching it unfold. Thanks for letting me share that with you.
And thank you, Michael, for sharing that.
Yeah, well, you bet.
Was there anything else that you wanted to add or to ask, or can we move ahead and start with
No,
Duff?
I think that would be just about time to go forward with this endeavor and introduce our wonderful guest.
I'd love to do that. I want to say that I love having this outlet that we have, Michael, because at Hypno Thoughts this past year, I had Duff McDuffy on my schedule right there in the Hoover app, and I had the time scheduled and everything else. And I attended something just before his talk. And while I was in that talk, there was something going on in the next room. There was laughter and it sounded like dancing and it sounded like a party was going on and everybody was having a blast. And I'm thinking, wow, maybe I should have. I mean, I was having a fine time in what I was attending, but I thought, well, wow, maybe I should have attended that. And so as the series ended, and I stood up, and someone in the group said, "Where are you going?" I said, "Oh, I'm off to see Duff McDuffy. I can't wait." And they said, "No, he was just on. That was him in the next room." And that darn Hoover app, I had put by accident two people in at the same time. And Duff, I'm going to tell you, they stacked that one on top of yours, and I was completely confused. And I was devastated. And the light bulb went off, and I said, but we have the virtual chapter. I may get a chance to attend this wonderful talk anyway and bring it to all of you and look at what we have here tonight. So I am so thrilled that Duff said yes, and we get to experience. You're in for a night that is going to be a riot. Let me tell you a little bit about Duff really quick. Duff uses the pronouns they, them, loves helping creative neurodivergent people with big ideas learn how to enjoy the process of consistently taking action. They believe the freaks, geeks, and weirdos, woohoo, will change the world. I couldn't agree more. Duff has worked with coaching clients since 2003, taught NLP and hypnosis internationally, and presented at conferences like HypnoThoughts Live, ICBCH, HPTI, and ACHE. And of course, we have him here tonight. I'm going to put his contact information in the chat, but without any further ado, Duff, I would love to just hand it off to you and get what I missed. Please fill me in. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for that warm welcome, Karen. Hi, everybody. My name's Duff, and I used to pee my pants. Now, granted, it's been a long time, but in middle school, this used to be a serious problem for me. I'd be sitting in class, and I'd notice something in my body. I'd notice a sensation. Oh, no, class just started, and I need to use the bathroom. Now, there was a simple solution for this. Just move my body, right? Take a deep breath and make some sounds come out of my mouth like, hey, could I use the bathroom, please? Now, there was nothing wrong with my arm. There was nothing wrong with my lungs. There was nothing wrong with my vocal cords. And yet I couldn't do it. I froze in fear every time I went to do those things. So what happened is I tried to hold it, and I tried to hold it, and I tried to hold it until I just had to let go to the flow. Now, I got really good at covering this up, wearing big baggy shirts to school so I could kind of hide it. Because unfortunately, when the other kids found out, they pointed and they laughed and they said, ha ha, I peed your pants. Funny for them, not so funny for me. In fact, that wasn't the only thing that caused me to freeze up in fear in school. Whenever I'd go to speak, nothing would come out. You know, we didn't have words like selective mutism or social anxiety disorder or autism spectrum disorder when I was growing up in the 90s and the 80s. We just had words like shy. But it was really a lot more than that. In fact, most of the time, I couldn't speak at all. 99.9% of the time, no matter what the situation was, I just froze up in so much fear that I just couldn't move my body, take a deep breath, let sounds come out of my mouth. And I'd like to say, I just grew out of that, but that's not what happened. In fact, most people do not grow out of the level of disability I really had. But I'm here today and I'm talking about peeing my pants. So something must have changed where I can just do this, right? Something happened between then and now. And that thing that happened is called ecstatic trance. Now, the first time I experienced ecstatic trance, I was an atheist at church camp. I had been forced to go to church every Sunday by my parents at the local Presbyterian church. And, you know, the sermons, they weren't really pulling at my emotions. It was just kind of boring, blah, blah, blah. Jesus, God, yada, yada. Okay, yeah. Whatever that means. But I heard that church camp was different, very different. In fact, it was, you know, designed for young people like me. So, you know, in 6th grade, I went to church camp. And it was different. The music, instead of this loud organ music where you can't even hear yourself think, let alone sing, was kind of like rock music, and it was upbeat, and, you know, it was still about God and Jesus, but I didn't really care. I was having fun and it felt good. And I was able to express myself when everyone else was singing and moving in the pews and doing this stuff. And then there was group therapy and art therapy and all this. This was kind of interesting. And on the last day of church camp, there was a dance. I was terrified. I'd never successfully danced before. I'd been to weddings, I'd been to school dances, but I'd always been frozen in fear, standing on the wall. But this time I decided to go. It helped that there were going to be girls there. So there's a little motivation. But I went to the dance and I didn't know if I was going to be able to dance. I thought maybe I probably wasn't going to be able to. And I first got there and the music was playing. And I didn't know what to do with this body, with these long limbs, with this. But everybody else seemed to know. And they were just moving. And it didn't make any sense to my conscious, rational, autistic brain. But suddenly, something happened. It was like something came over me and I just started moving and my arms were all spastic and my legs were going in every direction. And people were like, what came over you? What came into you? And I didn't have any words for it, but it felt amazing. And I just didn't want to stop. And I was going nuts. And it just felt great. And then the dance was over and I immediately shut back down. I was like, what was that? That's the first time in my life I'd experienced ecstatic trance. I didn't have a word for it. I didn't know what would happen, but I felt free. I felt alive for the very first time. And I was not able to repeat that experience for years and years and years. There were brief moments at another school dance in high school, performing music once. Here and there, I'd have these moments that things just kind of opened up and broke out, and I was able to express myself, and I felt fully alive, and I was in the moment, and I was in this flow, and then it was gone again. As soon as I tried to figure out how to do it, as soon as I tried to figure out what it was gone. But then, in my 20s, I moved here to Boulder, Colorado. I had some family out here, an aunt and uncle, a sister, and I didn't really know anybody. And I still had some social anxiety, we might call it. But I felt this just pull, this impulse, this intuition that I needed to go out dancing. And so on Friday nights, I did what I call Friday night dance therapy. I'd go to bars and clubs. I wouldn't even drink any alcohol because I didn't want to have that be the way in, right? I already had enough alcoholics in my family. We didn't need another one. So I went out, I went to places where music was playing, places where people were dancing. And once again, I stood at the wall and I watched people move. And I thought, I don't know how they're doing that. What are they doing? What is this? I don't get it, but they look happy and I feel miserable. And I want to be able to do that. But how do I get myself to do that? Do I have to learn dance moves? But that's not what they're doing. How do I get myself to do that? And so most of the time I'd go out, I would just stand there and feel uncomfortable in my body. But occasionally I would have these breakthrough moments again. And I would move. And I'd be like, it's happening again. The movement, it's coming over me. And I don't know what it is, but it feels amazing. And it feels like there's something moving through me. And I feel alive. And that started to happen more and more until I'd even reached this point where people would come up to me and they'd be like, wow, you've got this amazing energy. And, you know, there's something about you. And I was like, is there? I don't know. I'm just having a good time. I'm just, I don't know. Is it about me? And people would even come up to me on the street in Boulder and go, oh, it's that dancing guy. So that's the story of how ecstatic trance helped me to stop peeing my pants. I figured out how to get into the flow, how to unlock movement and get into this feeling of aliveness. Now, as hypnotists, we all have already experienced relaxing trances. In fact, the main way that we guide people into trance as a hypnotist is to close your eyes, relax, take a deep breath. And that's a beautiful, wonderful thing. I've done many thousands of hours of relaxing trance myself. I've guided many, many, many people into relaxing trance. It's a powerful experience. Most of us don't know how to relax until we're guided into it. And relaxing trance is just, it's one side of the coin. There's this whole other way of experiencing trance that's high energy instead of low energy, that's fully alive instead of relaxing deeply. In fact, if you talk to a religious anthropologist, they have this word trance. Religious anthropology is the study of human beings having religious experience, having mystical experience. And when they use the word trance, if you ask them, is a trance, you know, you sit down quietly and you relax and you breathe slowly, and well, that doesn't sound like trance to me. They'll say trance is when you sing and dance and you make music and you're playing drums and you're making loud noises and you're shaking and you're quaking for hours or days, and then you pass out and you have a mystical experience and a visionary experience. And that's not what I do with my clients. I don't know if that's what you do with your clients, but I haven't seen that one yet. However, if we study various cultures and their religious practice, their spiritual practice, you see this everywhere throughout the world. For all these traditional spiritual or even shamanic traditions, people have these long ceremonies, the Native American sun dance, these things that are really intense experiences. They're really high energy. And then people pass out and have visions. Kind of a weird thing. Now, we're not going to go that intense today, but I'd like to give you a little bit of an experience of what ecstatic trance is like. And there are several main doorways into ecstatic trance. We can use our bodies, our movements. If you've ever danced and experienced anything like what I was describing with dance, then you've already experienced ecstatic trance. We can also use our breath. There's all sorts of ecstatic breath work now. There's Wim Hof breathing, there's Kundalini yoga, there's all this stuff where we can use the breath instead of slowing down the breath, which will get into a relaxing trance. We can speed up the breath or breathe in certain ways that feel energy moving in our bodies. We can also use the voice in various ways. We can say affirmations. Now, I know a lot of hypnotists are like, affirmations, I don't know. And I was like that for many years too. However, I discovered there's a way you can do affirmations that feels ecstatic, that gets you into this flow state, and it feels really good. So there's a way we can do that. Or we can make sounds that don't have any meaning at all. Gibberish. Like jazz scatting. Get you into a little bit of a flow state. Now, there's also other ways to get into ecstatic trance. You can fall in love. That's an ecstatic trance. You can have sex. Many people have had ecstatic trances through sex. You can expand those feelings. You can get into tantric stuff. We're not going to do that tonight. This is PG. But positive feelings, you ramp up those positive feelings. That's another way we can get into ecstatic trance, through joy, through love, these sorts of things. If you amp it up to 11, that's an ecstatic trance. So in hypnosis, we often talk about trance indicators, right? A trance indicator, you may have learned that in your hypnosis training. What are the trance indicators? Things like eye closure, a relaxed facial expression, slow breathing, all indications of relaxation, right? So it is indicating trance, it's just indicating a relaxing trance. And these happen naturally. They happen when we guide someone induced trance with an induction, but they also happen naturally. You might be just talking to a client in a slow way or talking to a friend, and you notice they're kind of going into this trancey state, a relaxed trance. However, you might not be as aware of the trance indicators of an ecstatic trance, which would be things like if someone's maybe rocking back and forth as they're talking, they're getting really passionate, right? Or what if their voice like picks up speed and it has all this expressiveness to it? Or they're breathing faster. Yeah, they're getting excited. The face is lighting up. That could also happen naturally. I had a client session the other day. I was guiding someone into a trance. Relax. But he was talking like this. He was saying, oh, and this is going to happen, and then I'm going to feel this. And he's talking like a charismatic preacher with his eyes closed. That was a sign he was in ecstatic trance. I didn't need to interrupt that process. He was already processing and getting into the flow and getting this resource state. So if you experience this for yourself, you'll also be able to recognize this in your clients, in your friends, in your family. And you don't need to suppress this or shut this down. It's not necessarily a sign that someone's bipolar or going to have a seizure or something like that. It could be, but that's something else. It could just be a sign of being fully alive. And that's a beautiful thing. So before we have an experience of ecstatic trance, I want to invite you actually to do a little thinking or writing about some area of life that you want to change so that we have somewhere to direct all this energy. When we unleash all this energy, we want to put it somewhere, not just let it fly around randomly, but actually use it for change. So I want to give you just a few minutes. You can write down, like journal about some area of life. You can speak out loud or you can just think about it. I want to give you like a good 2 or 3 minutes. So think about something now that you want to change, some area of life that's maybe stuck, that you want to get unstuck, some problem that you're facing, something like that. And I'll give you 2 minutes starting now to just write about it, think about it, feel into it. Don't censor yourself. Just keep the words flowing or the thoughts going. Notice the thoughts, the emotions, and any body sensations. You finish up what you're doing there. I love that timer sound. All right, so now you got something you want to change, something you want to transform, or just give some new life to. So the ecstatic trance experience, instead of being an experience of relaxation, of going inward, is like this experience of something coming into you, almost something beneficial, wholesome, good, mysterious, almost moving through you in your body, in your breath, in your expression. And so we're going to get into that now with some warm-up exercises first. Like in hypnosis, right? If you were just like, go into a deep trance, you're like, what? How? So we have all these tools, we have these steps, right? We have hypnotic induction. We have lots of different hypnotic inductions that can guide anybody off the street who's never had this experience before into an experience of deep relaxation, deep trance right then and there. Pretty cool. Similarly, there's like structured ways to go into these experiences. And then there's also just being able to do it in an intuitive, free-form way. You might have your own way you like to go into relaxing trance, for instance. It might be, it doesn't involve induction. Just, you kind of feel into it. You have your own personalized way. So we'll also explore that a little bit at the end. But first, I would like to invite you to move your body in a gentle way. Now, if you have a reason you want to stay seated, you can absolutely do this seated. This is called bounce, shake, flow. So you can bounce in your chair, and you can shake, and you can kind of flow. And we'll do this for a few minutes. I don't know if I get permission to share my screen. Oh, it looks like I do. But I have a short video that I recorded in the park that will look better than me trying to stand up here and just seeing me from the waist down. So when I share this video, though, on the recording, it will show videos of a few other people. So if you don't want to be on the recording, you can turn off your video right now, just so you know. And then I'll share this video and we'll move our bodies for about 3 minutes. Okay. Now we'll interrupt the pattern with some weird movements. Feet shoulder width apart, bend the knees, and start gently bouncing up and down. Hands at your sides, just gently bouncing. Take a deep breath. Let it out with an ah, ah. Just letting go of tension. Imagining all that tension sinking down into the earth, shaking it loose very gently. Bouncing is about resilience. It's about bouncing, not breaking. Like a rubber ball. You're learning to be bouncy, learning to be resilient. Letting go of that tension, relaxing, shaking it free. And finding that you're letting go more and more of those thoughts and feelings and beliefs. The more you bounce, the more bouncy you feel, and the more relaxed you can get. And just a few more seconds of this bouncing. You could do this for 2, 3, 4 minutes. That would be a valuable thing. We'll just do a short version. And now shaking out the arms, shaking out the body, shaking, maybe making some noise, some silly sounds to shake it out, to let it go of the tension. We're not doing this to be tense, but to let go of tension. Maybe shaking a leg, shaking the other leg, shaking your whole body, just letting it go, shaking it, letting it go, letting go of all those thoughts and feelings, letting go of all those beliefs, letting go of all the past, just letting go completely. Once again, you could do this for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes even. It might feel good sometimes to just get up and shake when you're feeling strong feelings, and just get them out of your body, getting it in motion to get more aliveness. But for now, you can stop and move into flowing, doing your best impersonation of a Tai Chi master. flowing like water. Your breath flowing, nice and deep breaths flowing with your arms, with your legs, like a hippie at a Fish concert. Just flowing like the water behind me, flowing like the water in your body. You're mostly made of water. And just getting into that flow of life, flowing with whatever happens, good or bad, wanted or unwanted, just finding that flow of your own, reaching up to the sky and down to the ground, however you want to flow that feels good. This is about feeling good in your body. So you get a resource state that you can bring back in a moment. And for now, stopping and just feel your body and notice what it feels like. All right, thanks for moving around, everybody. Sit back down, close your eyes and feel your body and notice any pleasant sensations. Perhaps some tingling or buzzing, fizzy sensations. Maybe some warmth, maybe some calm. So that's bounce, shake, flow. That's a little warm-up exercise we can do. Start getting into ecstatic trance. Okay? Now we can also use the breath. In fact, the word breath in many, many, many different languages means something else, not just breath. Michael talked about inspiration earlier. Inspiration, inhalation, inspiration means breathing in air. But also, people have noticed for a long time that life seems to begin when a baby starts breathing. And it seems to end when a person stops breathing. So the word breath in many languages also means life or life force energy. Like you have chi, or you have prana, or even the word spirit means breath and it means life. Someone who's spirited, expression, has a lot of life to them. And someone who's kind of dead inside doesn't have a lot of life to them, right? So the breath we can use also to give us a sense of more life, more energy inside. Now, there's a lot of ways to do this. Importantly, there's a lot of breath work, ecstatic breath work that kind of pushes the edge. It's kind of, I call it bro breath work. We could call it maybe bro breath work. That's about like pushing really hard and breathing. And we're not going to do that. You can do that if you want, but we're not going to do that tonight. We're going to do a subtler version of ecstatic breath work that's not about chasing intensity. It's about letting go to the flow. So I'll describe it first, and then we'll practice a little bit together for just a few minutes. There's something to do on the inhale, and there's something to do on the exhale. On the inhale, we're going to pretend or imagine that all around us, we're swimming in a field of infinite, positive, universal life force energy, whatever that is. And you don't have to know what that is. Like, you don't have to know what the unconscious mind is. I still don't know what the unconscious mind is, but it's a helpful idea. Universal life force energy. You don't even have to believe it exists, but just if you pretend like you're swimming all the time in a sea of energy, which is kind of true, it's called oxygen. Right? But imagine you could breathe it in with every pore in your skin. So not just through here, not just through here, but through every pore in your skin on every inhale. So let's just try that for a few breaths. Breathing in universal life force energy through every pore in your skin. Now, I don't know how that is for you. However it is fine. For me, I get these tingles all over. Pleasant, buzzy sensations all over my skin, like goosebumps. Like that experience of being fully inspired, right? You're really inspired by something, you get these goosebumps. Can you breathe in an inspired way? It doesn't have to be a fast breath. And now, on the exhale, I invite you to do something different. You know that feeling you get when you're anticipating something bad's going to happen and then it doesn't? And in fact, something good happens instead? Ah, it's like this sigh of relief, right? Ah, like you have this tension in your body and then, you just release all of it on the exhale. Practice that 5 or 10 times right now. Just that sigh of relief. Like, it's a lovely feeling. Just letting go on that exhale completely of any tension. And you can make some noise. No one can hear it. Or you can do it silently, however you want to do it. Okay. And now we're going to combine these two things for the ecstatic breathing practice. On the inhale, breathing into every pore in your body, universal life force energy, this positive, beneficial, mysterious, wholesome, good force. And on the exhale, a sigh of relief. And you go at your own pace. I'm going to put myself on mute so I don't distract you. Few more of these breaths. Breathe in universal life force energy through every pore and a sigh of relief. And you can continue to breathe that way, or you can stop for now. Now, if you want to up the intensity, you don't have to. You don't have to, but if you want to up the intensity, you can do this breath and slowly build the tension, slowly build the speed, not pushing, not forcing, but with the intensity of positive emotion, of inspiration, of feeling good, of feeling aliveness. Allow that to increase the speed. Now, if you don't want to do this, if you got heart problems, if you got panic attacks, if you just don't want to breathe faster, then don't. You can stay at the same pace. But if you want to explore, let's see if it can be even better. How good can it get here? Let's see, how good can I feel? Then we can do this for a minute or so. Explore what pace feels good for you. If you want to try going a little faster, you can. One more big deep breath in. Let it out. Ah. And just stop and breathe normally and feel how your body feels in this moment. Do you notice your mind more calm? Do you notice any buzzy, fizzy, tingling, vibrating sensations? Bliss? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Either way's okay. It's your experience. However, the more you do this, the more you can notice those pleasant sensations in your body. And when you become attuned to pleasant sensations, it's like becoming attuned to good things in the world. Taking in the good more and more, the inspiration, the things that make you come alive, the things that make you go, yes, hell yes, this is it. This is what life's about. And then you start to notice those other things that you're like, I don't know if I want to keep doing that other thing. That's not for me. So we can start to get into ecstatic trance states through moving our bodies, through breathing in a way that brings joy, brings pleasure, brings good feelings. And we can also use our voices to get into ecstatic trance. People have done this for a long, long time. Chanting. Chanting has been part of every spiritual tradition. Singing has been a part of every culture. And many traditional songs are repetitive. They go on and on. They're not just 2-minute hits for the radio. They go on and on for 10, 15, 20 minutes. If you've ever been to kirtan, kirtan is a form of singing or chanting that is in the Hindu yoga tradition. And you sing these songs about Shiva or Mother Kali or whatever it is. You don't even have to believe in Shiva or Kali or be a Hindu to go to kirtan. But it's an ecstatic trance. You sing these things over and over, and they've got this music playing. It's very repetitive, but it's very uplifting. You're kind of just feeling high, feeling good. Or they have a similar thing in the Sufi tradition called zikr, where you sing songs about Allah, which you could say is God, but you could also just say is everything, all, the everything. It's about getting into the state where you're like, everything is amazing. Everything is amazing. It's the opposite of depression. Everything sucks. Everything is amazing. That is how we feel. We feel fully alive, fully inspired, filled with that whatever mysterious aliveness force. We could call universal life force energy or chi or prana or spirit or whatever you want to call it. Or don't call it anything at all. It's just a feeling. It's just an experience. So chanting is a powerful way to get into ecstatic trance. Opens up the voice. If you do it long enough, then you speak and it comes out powerfully, charismatically. I did some of this before this meeting to get into the flow so I could really convey the spirit of it. Now, affirmations are great. Well, there's pros and cons to affirmations. But I think we can make them even better by giving a little rhythm, a little rhyme, maybe a little song. Now, we're not going to sing here tonight, but we are going to use an affirmation around ecstatic trance itself. I'm in the flow. Wouldn't it be good if you're in the flow more often? You're in the flow state. The flow state is an ecstatic trance. It's the state of being absorbed into what you're doing, and at time just disappears. Your whole sense of self disappears, and you're just Feels amazing. Athletes talk about being in the zone. They just feel like this high performance state, and things like slow down. They have all this time to do what they want to do. Musicians, when they're jamming out with a band and they're just creatively doing this and that, they're in this flow and time just disappears. And it's like what makes life worth living, these experiences of flow. Or like when I was out on the dance floor in my 20s for the first time and feeling this flow. I was like, what was that? How do I get more of that? This is amazing. Well, it's possible to get flow on command. And we can use this affirmation, I'm in the flow, but we'll do it in this way. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. The more I let go. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. The more I let go. Everybody, I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. The more I let go. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. The more I let go. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. The more I let go. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. The more I let go. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. The more I let go. Faster. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. The more I let go. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. The more I let go. Even more. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. The more I let go. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. The more I let go. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. The more I let go. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. The more I let go. Thank you, everybody, for being silly on Zoom. So that's just 1 minute of that, but you can check in. Notice your body. Notice, is there any energy going through your body right now? Any more aliveness than there was a minute ago? Any pleasant sensations? Any buzzing, tingling, energy, vibration, fizzy? Maybe your heart rate's going a little, but it feels good, right? Feels good. This is why people go to football games, both American football and what the rest of the world calls football. In fact, if you look at what the rest of the world calls football, people are going absolutely nuts in the stands in every game, everywhere. People have their chants and these songs and flags and face paint, and it's the only place a man's allowed to have emotions. Why do you think men are so into sports? They get to get into ecstatic trance. They get to scream and go, yeah, and get angry in extremely expressive ways with their guy friends all around the world. Totally allowed. When you come home, you're not allowed to do that. At the workplace, not allowed to do that. But in the football stands for hours, you can have a beer or 6, and you can chant, and you can scream, and you can feel good. Organized religion, many organized religions have suppressed ecstatic trance, even though originally this is probably the oldest spiritual experience. Dancing, singing, chanting, all this kind of stuff around a fire, telling stories. This is the original hypnosis. We still see it in hunter-gatherer traditions today, like the Kalahari Bushmen, who still have a traditional practice of moving their bodies and shaking and making noises. And then they also have their dances for the white people who come and visit them, sort of tourist dances. But there's some people who've been allowed, some religious anthropologists, who've been allowed to join them in their real practices. One guy is named Bradford Keeney. Bradford Keeney studied Ericksonian hypnosis and was a family therapist. But he also had these weird experiences of shaking and quaking and feeling ecstatic that he didn't know what these were, and he kind of kept them hidden, and they weren't really acceptable in therapy. So he's like, I don't know what this is, but this is really important. This feels like this is why I'm here, or why I'm alive. Feels like this is really meaningful to me. I don't know what to do with it. So as a university professor, he was allowed to get some grants and study with different groups of people who have still some traditional ecstatic practices that they do. And one of the groups was the Kalahari Bushmen. We got to hang out with them for a while. And because he had his own direct experience of this, and he was able to join in with the Kalahari Bushmen and their culture and their experience, they welcomed him in. And they welcomed him into the dance, to the experience. And they have their own word for this energy. I can't even pronounce it because they have like a click in the middle of the word. It's called like num or something. And you get filled with this num and you climb the ropes into heaven. They don't have the word heaven, but you climb the ropes to God and you get these visionary experiences. And he had those experiences hanging out with the Kalahari Bushmen. And it involves shaking and quaking and all these weird things with the body. But I tell you that story only to tell you that this is one of the oldest spiritual practices. Moving, using the breath, using the voice, and so on to get into ecstatic trances that are healing in themselves. Like for me, this was how I was able to liberate my own voice and express myself and overcome selective mutism, freezing, so that I could speak, so that I could have this career that I have in being a hypnotist. And there's also endless layers of this that we can experience and express and grow in. And the more we grow in it, it just feels like we're in this flow state, not just occasionally, not just in a peak experience, but like our lives become this just ongoing flow, more and more. So as you learn to let go to the flow, you might experience more joy, more aliveness, more meaning, more inspiration each and every day. And if you practice this kind of stuff more and more, it'll happen even faster. Really, it's about giving yourself permission. I gave you permission today to move your body, to breathe in a way that feels good, and to make sounds that are just fun to make. But most of the time, there's this taboo that we can't even talk about the taboo. We know about certain taboos, like it's not okay to walk around naked in public if you're older than, say, a toddler. Right? Except maybe on a nude beach, right? We know that's a taboo. You can't do it. It's not allowed. But there's a taboo that I've named the taboo against joyfully moving your body in public. Have you heard of this one? Try going to an airport sometime when you're waiting for a flight, put on some music, have a little dance party. See how long it takes before someone shuts down your dance party. Right? We probably wouldn't even think of doing this. This is not allowed. Not allowed to joyfully move your body in public, only in designated areas. Like an electronic dance music festival in Las Vegas, totally fine. You can do that for days and days. As soon as you leave the venue, not allowed on Fremont Street or, any of the major streets on the Strip. Got this taboo against joyful movement in public. We have a taboo against joyful breathing in public. In fact, during that breathing exercise, you might have been like, this feels a little sexual. You can't say, in public. You got to go like, okay, that's good, right? It's too much. It's feeling too good. Not allowed, right? So it's about giving yourself permission to feel good in both of these cases. Similarly with chanting, most of the time when we're speaking in less expressive tones. If we're part of white civilized colonized culture, just have to say it. Now, in other cultures that are more expressive, if you go to Latin America, if you hang out with certain populations in the United States that are more expressive, African American populations are often more expressive still. If you go to Italy, if you go to Spain, there's certain places that people are more expressive, and it's a wonderful thing. But there's also places where that's just not allowed. Not allowed to be expressive with your voice. Again, it's not a spoken rule. It's just a hidden taboo. But we do this at our peril. Right? All these things that shut us down in our expression. They shut down our aliveness. They shut down our enjoyment of life. They shut down our inspiration. And they shut down what even makes life feel like it's worth living. So it's worth exploring a little bit every day, maybe. Getting a little more expressive with your body, feeling good with your breath, and expressing more with your voice. Maybe even looking for the good, feeling some gratitude, some joy, some love, some inspiration. Why not? Now, I'd like to do just one more experience of this, and then we'll revisit that thing you wrote about. Remember that thing you wrote about? One more experience. I'm just going to give you permission to do whatever you want for 2 minutes. You could move your body. You could do the breath again. You could make some noise. You could chant the thing we chanted before, or you could do all of it at once. But you are free to choose for yourself. I'm going to sit in this chair and just kind of move around and make noise. That's what I'm going to do. But I'm going to be on mute. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do whatever ecstatic practice you want to do right now. Begin. Allow the universal life force energy almost to flow through you and move you and make the sound. So it's not even like you're doing it. So instead of moving, it's like you're being moved. What wants to happen now? How are you inspired to move and voice and breathe now? Okay. All right. Remember that thing that you wanted to change? Well, let's revisit that. We took 2 minutes before. So if you were writing before, you can write again. If you're speaking out loud, you can speak out loud. If you're just thinking about it, you can just think about it. And notice how you feel now. What are the automatic thoughts, feelings, body sensations that arise when you think about this whole thing? No. Is it the exact same as it was before, or even a little different, or even totally different? Nothing's too small to notice. All right. So, some of you are probably very familiar with expressive practices in ecstatic trance, and this was normal and easy for you. Some of you, this was maybe very uncomfortable and weird and very different than how you like to be. Either way is okay. It's just something to notice. Maybe you want to grow in expressiveness and ecstatic trance. Maybe this is not for you. You're going to stick with relaxation. It's okay. You can make whatever choice is right for you. But for me, I found, even before I ever tried to relax, do meditation, do hypnosis, the first time I danced, I experienced ecstatic trance. And that was an incredible gateway into feeling alive, feeling free, and just straight up transforming all sorts of stuff in my experience. So thank you all. That's all I have to say. If you have any questions, I'll stick around for a little bit. Thank you so much.
Duff, that was absolutely wonderful. I understand why the room was going crazy.
Thanks
I
for doing it here on Zoom. It's different in person than on Zoom, obviously, but it still works.
we didn't get the benefit of hearing everybody doing their thing, which I got the benefit of from the room next door to you at Hypnotist. I'll tell you. But it was still powerful. It was so powerful. And I did have brilliant ideas after the ecstatic trance. I just loved it, Duff. I love the whole idea of walking through life and purposely looking for the ecstatic trance. I'm just going to be right up front with you right now. I'm stealing this shit. I
Please
just think
do.
this is brilliant. Yes, I love it, love it, love it.
I would love it if hypnotists all stole this stuff. And this was just half of what we did was relaxing trance, and half of what we did was ecstatic trance.
Well, I'll be quite honest with you. I have a motto in my life. There's a rule, and I'm not a rule follower really, but this is a rule that I follow. Steal from the best, because that really makes us all better. And
Yes.
so thank you. That's why we do this, so that we can share some of these brilliant ideas around.
Anybody have any questions or experiences they want to share? Anything they noticed? Good, bad, neutral? It's all good.
Boy, I noticed my spirit. I want somebody else to share, but I noticed my spirit elevated. I noticed the blood pumping. I noticed myself feel. Here's what I want to put to it: feeling alive. Feeling alive.
Hmm.
Anybody else have something they want to share?
I realized that I needed a different level of depth of understanding to what I say I want to change.
Mm.
What do you mean by that, Carol?
Well, I've never enjoyed networking. I've probably self-talked myself into being socially awkward. And so what I said I wanted was I would like to enjoy networking and anticipation with excitement so strong that it would be natural for me to feel like I wanted to get dressed and drive to the event. And then I thought, well, that's just the
Woo!
event. Now what? Do I care about the people that are at the event? Do I wonder what they're up to, what they need, where they're thinking, what they're feeling? Well, I've never gone that far with that thought.
Mm, new possibilities emerging.
Yep.
Right. Can you imagine yourself doing a little ecstatic dance before you even start to get dressed?
Now we're
Bring the
talking.
life into your body right there and get
Well,
all the
I noticed that my blood oxygen went up, that's for sure.
Right?
moving on purpose. How about it?
And one other thing, it seemed like I've been studying mitochondria and energy lately, and it was like an impression that the little mitochondria are saying, well, finally.
Valerie, what did you want to say?
Well, it's just, it brings to mind like looking at what our client needs or how they like to process information. I used to work in the corporate world in human resources and leadership management, and we would have managers who, unbeknownst, now I know what we were doing, but I didn't know what we were doing then. But like they would, like some of them would like to write everything out before they came, not always just sit at a table and talk about it. There was one manager when he would come and needed to discuss whatever the issues were, we would we noticed that he always did better when he was moving. So we'd always like go walk down the hall to go get a cup of coffee, or we'd walk
Love it.
around. Hey, we want to, hey, I need to go check this in. And as he walked and talked, and it kind of reminded me of this movement, right? Like we were trying to recognize what people needed to kind of process what they were going through. So I love it. It
Yeah.
resonates for me.
Mike,
Hi. I'm actually blessed to have worked with Duff. I work with Duff a lot. I pay him for to his time, and he is amazing. I was one of those guys that was or individuals that was yelling in that room, and the energy there was enveloping.
yeah,
And one of the things that I noticed this time when we were doing this is that I had come from another class, another deal, and my world felt kind of small. I've been dealing with some stress and stuff here locally recently, and being able to take up more space and be able to shake that off and to be able to vibrate my body to be able to release those areas of tension. Now I feel more free. I feel more space to be able to not only do the things that I want to do, but I feel more space to relax and feel safe.
Mm.
So thank you again, Duff, for this wonderful opportunity. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to meet you guys you have an amazing group and thank you for this time. I appreciate it.
well, Mike, come back anytime. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah.
And Jeff,
Thank
I
you.
got to say it was amazing, and thank you so much for sharing this with us. No, Michael, I'm not signing off. I'm turning it over to you. Just wanted to say thank you so much for doing this for us. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I just a couple of things I have to say. Duff, thanks so much. This, it's lovely. My experience is the opposite of yours with regard to something that you said, and I think it's interesting because my experience of chanting, for example, is something that I learned living in a Benedictine monastery, and and by the way, and it's very relaxing.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, I also have this experience. Well, the whole time that I was in seminary, I spent every Sunday visiting the Hare Krishna for a prashada and drumming and dancing. And then John Grinder further introduced us to drumming and dancing as well. So, so that's really kind of in there for me. But the thing that was so cool was that I started out with an issue. And in the issue, sort of symptomatically, one of the things that's happening in my original note was I felt vibrating an internal coldness, very, very vulnerable, and lots of, like crazy wild voices in my head.
Mm.
And the interesting thing that happened with the dancing, of course, is that all just became a description of the aliveness that I was experiencing rather than the vulnerability. And it was like, oh my God, what it's the same thing. And guess what? It's really quite cool. The other thing is I've decided that I want to change my career now because I want to get a job out in front of the used car lot where I can be the guy that does this. I
Can you
think
imagine how happy that balloon is all the time?
Ecstatic trance, nonstop.
well, thank you so very much.
I want to tell you
Thank
guys
you.
before we break that next month we have a very special event. It's sort of the holiday show in December, and typically we have a holiday buffet. What we want to do next month is open up, have that first sort of half hour of you telling us something inspiring, offering up an inspiring little tidbit, an inspiring saying, an inspiring thought, something to inspire us through the holidays and into the new year. And then for our presentation next month, Michael Watson's going to do a wonderful, wonderful presentation with us and his lovely Tibetan star experience. So mark your calendars and come for that because it will be a night to remember, much like this one.
Be great. So
This,
everyone, before are you all set, Karen?
yep,
Were you signing off?
yeah, say good
That's
night.
and that's what I was about to do too. So it is our time. We've had a lovely time this evening, and we just want to make sure on the way out that you all open up your microphones and give Duff the appropriate cacophonous sound off that we always do by letting him know how much you appreciate him being here. And if you want to wave, give him permission.
I love jazz hands because it's so movie, but I also like to say thank you, Duff. Woo! This was
Thank you, Duff.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Appreciate
That
it.
was
It was lovely.
wonderful.
Thank you, Duff.
Having me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
It's
you.
wonderful. Appreciate it. Bye.